I want to bring in one of our experts now, former JSO K-9 handler Charlie Wilkie. Good morning to you, sir. We appreciate you joining us on a Saturday morning. First, I want to know your reaction to Sheriff Leeper visibly emotional after visiting Deputy Moyers in the hospital, just 29 years old. We are all praying for the best possible outcome here.
Good morning. Yeah, it's a terrible situation, and you can obviously tell that Sheriff Leeper is distraught over what's happened to one of his officers, and that just shows how close-knit this department is. I used to work there years ago, and the improvements that Sheriff Leeper has done is just tremendous. They're a close-knit group. They're one of the premier departments in this part of the state, and Officer Moyers is definitely an instrument in that, you know, with his dedication to the job and his work ethic.
Mr. Wilkie, you said you used to work with that department, so I'm certain you've been in contact with them, talking with other officers. What is everyone saying at this point?
Well, you know, everybody's rallying together. Everybody's emotional, but everybody's focused on, you know, in closing the net on him, as we call it. You know, we're circling the troops, and I feel confident that they're going to have this resolved, and they're going to apprehend him, and it's going to come to where he's going to be held accountable for what he's done.
Now, you spent about 18 years with the K-9 unit in JSO. I do want to get your take on things, because luckily, so we do know that a JSO K-9 was shot during the search efforts just yesterday. We're told by this suspect that K-9 is expected to be all right, but I want to know your initial reaction, because some may say it's a dog, but to so many people, these K-9s are officers. There's so much more. Your reaction when you heard that one of them was shot?
Oh, it's very sad. I mean, we as K-9 handlers end up spending more time with our partner, our K-9 partner, than we do actually our spouses. I mean, we're spending at least 10 hours a day working a shift, and then a couple hours, you know, an hour getting in to go in, an hour coming home. So about 12 hours a day. So we're very close knit. I mean, you begin to lead. You know, we call it running up and down the leash. They take on your personality, you take on theirs, and you just become a team that you just read each other. You know each other just as well as if it was another human being.
Now, I'm looking behind you. It appears that you are at UF Health, so I am assuming that you've been in touch with the officers there, perhaps family. Can you give us some insight into that, what they're actually saying this morning?
It's just nothing's changed that I've been told. We're all just in deep prayer, and our hearts and prayers are going out to Deputy Moyers' family and to him, and we're hoping and praying that the good Lord sees him through this and he makes a recovery. That's all the information I've been given so far. We're just a big effort to everybody praying together that this turns better.
You mentioned the effort. I do want to talk about the search efforts, massive right now, because we have crews on the scene in Callahan. We saw more than 100 or so officers from all over Northeast Florida flooding into that area, trying to find this suspect. Give us some insight into what is happening in terms of how they're setting up the perimeter to try to catch him, that net.
Right, and you're exactly right. That's what you do is you rally the troops, you get everybody around, for every available officer that you can, and you try to quadrant off the area that you're searching. I believe when the K-9 got shot the other night, I'm just guessing, but usually what happens in that scenario is that you're working the dog on a long lead, usually, so you have control of them, but you're working them out 20 feet ahead of you or so. The downside of that is the lead's going to get caught up in brush and things like that. So at some point when the dog starts working what we call hot, meaning he's really getting close, sometimes you'll kick him off lead so that he can work ahead of you, and you don't let him get too far. You'll stop him and then you'll catch back up to him. And in this case, I feel like probably what happened was they were working the dog ahead of him. He got a hold of the suspect, and the suspect shot him to get the dog off of him. And that's when the gunfire probably occurred with the suspect shooting the K-9. That would just be my guess.
Wow. But again, the good news that K-9 is doing all right. We do know a little bit more about the suspect, McDowell. We know that he was a Marine, so he has been trained. He is a Marine. Can you give us some insight into what's likely going through his mind at this point? Because this could be a situation that he was trained for. We know that he participated in Operation Iraqi Freedom as well.
Absolutely. He's been in combat, so he's well trained in that. He's well versed in how to survive. That's the downside for us, is that he is capable of probably surviving out in that wooded area for a number of days. But sooner or later, there's going to come a time where he's going to need supplies. He's going to need to eat. He's going to need to drink. There's certain basic human necessities that are going to outweigh his need of staying out there in those woods. So if he is still out there, hopefully that's going to come to fruition pretty soon, and he's going to make an effort to go to a house, to go anywhere to try to seek some type of nourishment to keep himself going.
And we do know that SWAT teams are knocking door to door in that area right now to try to find this man. Thank you again so much, Charlie Wilkie, for joining us on this Saturday morning. We appreciate your time,
You're
sir.
welcome.